if you have to compare between retro and then this one, hit
HIT3.
which do you think is really good?
I mean, both are not related in many ways. Mainly the genres. But నాకు తెలిసినంత వరకు లైక్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ వస్తుండేది అయితే ఇదే.
ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ ఉంటుంది. దిస్ ఇస్ వెరీ ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్. దాంట్లో క్లైమాక్స్ బాగుంది.
క్లైమాక్స్ బాగుంది. బట్ మీరు ఇది చూసారా జిగర్తాండా 2? ఇట్స్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ సేమ్.
I haven't seen the Hit 1 and Hit 2.
ఇలా తయారైపోయారేంటి జనాలు.
And this is Hit 3. So the first two movies are also produced by Nani, but he wasn't the actor of it. Fine. The thing that I really liked about Hit is that there'll be it's basically a police story, and it'll be running really dramatic, things out of the normalcy will be happening. But at the same time, if you look at the kind of screenplay that's written, the kind of dialogues that are written, every random thing that we do in life, a normal guy does in life, is also being done by the hero out there. He'd be speaking in the very same manner. He'd be using all those cuss words. He'd be having his own flaws as well. He'd be having his own personal struggles of not being able to get a girl to marry. All this is really funny at a particular point, though it's not very all this is not very implied, but this is very funny as well. As a narrative, as it travels, you'd also giggle at a particular time period. So it's a very nice story, and there aren't any lags or boring scenes that you'd be finding in the movie. But there is one particular logic that if you concentrate, maybe this might not even come into your mind as you're watching the movie, because the movie would be happening like this. Each and every single scene shot, even before you think and guess something else might be happening. The officer would be guessing it even before you do it. So this might not even come into your mind, but if it comes, the thing is that there'd be a big psychotic villain who would be out there, and hero as a police officer, again, not a spoiler, but you're just trying to give you a context of what it is. So hero would be trying to, as a police officer who is in covert operation, he'd be trying to join the gang of a psycho villain, and this psycho villain would actually pick him up, thinking he also belongs to the same breed as this particular villain. But the problem is that this officer is so famous that even within the movie they have shown that as he keeps walking with his girlfriend at 1 a.m., there'll be some roadside rogues who will be trying to tease the heroine, but all suddenly as they see this officer like Nani, they would recognize him as the police officer who is a very serious and famous police officer, and they would just run away, which shows that everyone in the city knows about this particular police officer. But as he tries to get into the gang of the villain, who is extremely intelligent, extremely psychotic, and he is the epitome of every single wrong thing that can be done, the criminal mind, this guy wouldn't even make the small investigation to verify who this guy is. Is he a police officer or not? So that logic is something very funny, but if you just go blindfold on this logic and try to watch the movie, you would try to enjoy it. And also, yes, there are small parts which I felt could have been like little more improvised. For example, if you look at the climax of this particular movie, there'll be a lot of psychos that he'll be fighting as a single person. There'll be hundreds of people, and as one particular one solid police officer, he'd be fighting all these psychos. And as they come into him in order to fight, they'd be coming into him like a gangster, a goon, but it doesn't appear like they're psychos. If they're psychos, how should they be when they're trying to attack you? If you're trying to kill them, you should look at the blood, and even with the blood they should still be laughing. Looking at the blood, they should still go crazy. They should still try to attack you. They should look almost like zombies. That's how a group of psychos should look like. Absolute criminal minded psychos who just enjoy killing. But in this movie they don't look like zombies or anything. The fight just happens just like a fight between a hero and a group of goons, which could have been better. Of course, you have to look at the characters and then design the fights rather. That is one thing. I mean, this doesn't distract you from the movie or make you feel bad, but if that was happening in the way that I just said, it would have been looked much more interesting, and it would have been much more original. Apart from that, so while watching the movie, there are few scenes which are rightly kept, but I feel they should have elevated it much better. They should have elevated it much better in order to give you a kind of goosebumps. For example, when you're watching Shivkarthikeyan's Doctor, in the climax fight of it, you would definitely be getting goosebumps because they've, insisted and zoomed in onto certain aspects and angles of being selfless so much that you get goosebumps throughout. I mean, there are certain moments like this even within this movie which I really like. I don't want to be a spoiler and I don't want to explain that to you. I mean, I know that I'm using this word so much throughout the video, but yeah, I'm very conscious of not being a spoiler. So there are moments like that, but there are not a lot is what I'm saying. There is a potential to do that. So that is one thing. And another thing that was truly running in my mind was that, while watching this officer, kind of bleeding to death and still trying to save everyone around him extremely, totally, extremely being selfless. I thought these are absolute heroes. Probably even when some military officers right now are searching for the terrorists in Pahalgam, probably this is what they are going through. We never know, and they are going through all this. They are shedding their blood, sweat, every single thing to catch these terrorists, and we never comment to the outlook of these people. So it's such an inspiring thing for me personally, and hope it would be the same for you. So it's a great movie as well. So compared to Retro, this movie, it doesn't have so much of lags like Retro did. So apart from that, both are really good movies. Retro just runs a little slow at unrequired points, and it would have songs at unrequired points. That is not there. This movie is very sharp. That is an upside of Hit compared to Retro, but Retro has much more story content compared to Hit. But yeah, anyway, both are great movies, but somewhere as an audience, if you're just looking down and watching, you would feel Hit much more engaging because of the kind of cuts they've made. That's what I would feel. Thank you for watching. Go watch the movies.
పరమశివుని ధమరుకం ఎలా నిర్విరామంగా గర్జిస్తూ ఉంటుందో అటువంటి